the true future is seeing more inclusive nightclubs, non-alcoholic beverage menus at every restaurant, at every bar.
Yeah.
And to have that stigma of, oh, I have to drink to have fun, to be evaporated and be like, I am fun, so I have fun. Right? It's completely different. And to like really wake up together, because when we wake up, it's not just about alcohol. It's not just about being sober. It's about waking up to your life and your gifts and your potential and reinvesting in yourself. Because every day we have like a certain amount of energy, right? And everything we give that energy to is a gift. And if we're giving our gifts to the right places, they come back to us and we receive that energy.
Stories are powerful.
Welcome to the Rise, Recover, Live podcast, brought to you by The Phoenix. This is a space where people impacted by substance use can come to share their story of strength and resilience, get open and honest, and inspire hope and build community through shared experience.
We'll be talking to people in our community on their own recovery journey and shine a light on the topic of recovery in all its forms. Maybe you'll hear some of your story in theirs.
Let's show the world that together we rise, recover, and live.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Rise, Recover, Live podcast. We are your hosts, Bryce III.
And Liz McKean.
And today we have very special guests. I really like Liz when there's two people on one screen. It just makes it feel like a family.
It really does. I know. It's so fun. And we just for our view, expand their screen. So it feels like, I don't know, they're just so spotlighted. And I don't know, it does have just a sense of occasion, which I think is kind of appropriate for who we've got on, who I think maybe Bryce, you want to lead us in who we got today?
Sure. So Mike and Ambie are co-founders of Secret Dance Addiction. And I will let them explain a bit more about the actual company and the initiative. But I will say experientially, is that a word? Mm-hmm. I've had the experience of attending one of their events out in Denver, Colorado. And like Liz said before the cameras got to rolling, it was a great time. I had sprinkles on my face. I was sweating. Larry came out his shirt. He ain't had no sleeves on. It was a wild time.
Sure was.
So, yes, welcome, Mike and Ambie. How are you?
Doing great.
We're doing great. Thanks for having us.
We're honored to be here, honestly, actually. When the missions align like this, it just feels so good. So we're beaming.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, and I think the cool thing about this show is that we get to have just, pretty natural conversations. And that happens even more naturally when we really don't know each other. All we know about the two of you is this Secret Dance Addiction is something that you started. Bryce and I were both able to go to, I'm probably going to get all the language wrong, but EDM festival, I believe, or EDM show, and just dance our just feet right off. And it was, I said to Bryce, and I think both of you, that it was possibly the most fun I've had in sobriety. And possibly before then. Dancing's one of those things that I thought that I would have to leave behind when I got sober. And, found when I started to attend weddings and things like that, oh, it's actually really more fun. I'm not spilling things or falling down. What a concept. And then to go to a show like this, which was so outside of anything I've done ever, and just have the time of my life. I couldn't wait to talk to you and hear how did this come to be, and what's your stories? I'd love to know. I don't even know if the two of you are in recovery, so please, whoever wants to start, tell us whatever we can know about you. Thank you for bringing this wonderful thing to the world.
Thank you. Absolutely happy to take it. We could start at the beginning too. Amber and I met in the studio. Working on music together. She hired me to I'm a drummer and a DJ producer. Amber's a vocalist and DJ producer. And this was, years ago. Coming up on a decade.
So long ago.
But we moved fast, so it feels longer too. So from day one, it was always empowering each other with music and just lighting it up. That first day we made such a banger. That's just kind of rare in the studio, to meet somebody and then instantly create something that's just lit. And then we blew bubbles off of the top of our friend's condo and over the escape of Denver, all in one hour. It was just so magical. And that's
too adorable to be real.
It's been that since every day since we met. Like, actually, like, we always work on music. We're pushing each other in a nice, healthy way. We're creators, and we are sober DJs. In the DJ industry, in the EDM industry, it's like ubiquitous. Like, everybody's drinking or on something, right? And addiction is rampant. We realized pretty quickly, we knew for a long time, but like, we realized if we really wanted to take this to the next level, we had to cut some things back. It gets in the way of life. Addiction in so many ways gets in the way of just regular real life. And so we became sober DJs, which is in and of itself a hilarious conversation for a different time.
May I jump in?
You may jump in.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a good transition moment. Yeah.
So Mike and I realized that we really wanted to share that like positive feeling that we got when we were like, partying, what we call partying positive, which is, you're lit up from within, you feel healthy, you feel good, like you're able to give your best at performance or work. And we're like, oh man, we'd love to share this. We're DJing, festivals and parties. Like, what can we do? And we looked for a long time, like probably like 2 years, because what we were looking for was healthy nightlife.
Yeah.
And we found some in the UK. We're like, that's great, but we live in Colorado. So
long commute.
So yeah, Secret Dance Addiction was born 3 years ago this year. And it's all about normalizing healthy nightlife, because we can get wild, we can let loose, we can drink non-alcoholic beverages, we can connect, we can feel sensual and amazing. And all of that comes when you party positive. And because so much of our culture, we are ingrained in to release, to party, you must be intoxicated, right? But you can let loose and party in so many ways, and to like show people that is cool and fun and bright and exciting. Like, that's what it's all about. So I'm so happy to hear that the both of you were able to experience that at Sundown, which is Secret Dance Addiction's festival we do every year. So that's, I think I'll pause there because we just gave you a ton of info, the backstory, some juicy details.
Yeah. In like a quick soundbite, I would say that it's about getting out of our head and into our body. That's what we like to think of partying positive is. It's like, just let it go, let the mental noise go, and just like, let's dance. It's not about this or that, or what am I holding in my hand, or like, dude, no, like, what are hands? They're just an extension of us, like.
So yeah, that's definitely the name of this episode. What are hands? I think the best way to kind of like spell it out too. I think the best way to spell it out too is like to kind of paint the picture of the night, right? So we walked to the spot, which was maybe like 20 minutes away from the hotel. It was a beautiful night, and we get there, and you go in, and when you go in, it's like all of my favorite like drinks are there, and I don't know if it's like a usual thing, but they were free. So I'm like, yeah, let me get 2 of those clean yerba mates. Let me get one of those nutritional shots, and then I took something else to go with me, and then we get in, and then there's vendors all around. There was a silent disco. It wasn't silent disco. It was meditation. And like the floor was crazy. Everybody's like laid out. I just went in, just grabbed some headphones, put them on. And my man's was doing like an out of the body transcendental like meditation where you're traveling to Mars. I'm like, whoa. Done with that, go to like some vendors who had clothes, peek through the clothes. Then I went, and then they had a hydration station with mocktails, a couple of those, and I visited those, and there was some food, and then a big stage, and then everybody was dancing, and it was like a full experience. And when you say, nightlife, healthy nightlife, like that's what I envision. Like, it's like all these things that I can do, and, it's not boring, and there's so much activity, and it all is something that contributes to like my wellness. And, I can go and I can have the catharsis of like being able to just dance and, connect with people that I may never talk to again, but in this moment, we're just dancing together. And I think it's such a beautiful thing to have that space. And I think one of my biggest immediate questions is there have been a lot of spaces that I've sought and didn't find, and then, just was like, okay, well, I guess this space doesn't exist. But there are spaces that I saw and then I couldn't find, and then it was like, okay, I got to make this because of this pull for me, and that's an internal pull. And I'm curious to, what was your pull that led you to like, okay, I got to create this space. It doesn't exist here, and I need to create this so people can experience this thing that I know can exist.
Alcohol and addiction and me go back a long ways. I had a DUI, which sucked, and I learned a lot. It was totally my fault, of course. Owning that decision and going sober, there's just a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of peer pressure anywhere. And regarding anything, I really wanted to find a space and a community that supports whatever it is that I want to be and do and not do. And I love Red Rocks. I love it there. I love all the venues of Colorado. I just wish there was more choice, more option, healthier choices. I mean, yeah, I'm like drink water all over the place. That's great for hydration. When we want to step it up and feel like a little, juju, like light it up a little bit. There's so many different drinks that we can have. And drinking, the traditional cultural norm of drinking and cheersing even, has just been kind of stolen, I feel like, by the alcohol industry. And so what Amber and I, our goal is to kind of just take that back, drinking and connecting with each other is something we can do. We can do that over water. It's not as fun, I feel like. We can do it. But Aruna, coffee. I mean, there's so many different drinks that we can have that are of different composition and do all different things and are not intoxicant. So yeah, it was kind of in the space of where can we go to find that, on so many of these menus, it's just a simplified, this is beer, this is water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm going for water, and is what it is. So that's kind of where I came out of it, missing that. And especially in clubs, there's just so much good music. Sometimes it's distracting to have, spilled drinks and the smells, and we don't need to go into all that stuff. We try to party positive. So we thought in our mind, what happens if we just remove that stuff and just feel the vibe and see what happens? And oh my gosh, it's actually magical. Mm-hmm. It's like when you stop, when you cut the stuff that isn't needed, then you allow more energy and space for the things that are important. And
they get spotlighted. I have a question. At your events, is sobriety the for lack of a better word, the rule? Is it no alcoholic beverages or, substances or whatever allowed? So that's truly a sober space?
Yeah, all of our events are intoxicant free. So we make that distinction because showing up and feeling like your best self is such a beautiful thing because it means you're investing in yourself. So we use that term party positive a lot because I think we can talk for days about all the negative things that we might experience or that fear-based thinking. But what we really focus on is, it's a sober space, and you could have an IV, a health IV. You could try a detox juice shot. You could try a super lit mocktail that has delicious ingredients. Yeah. You could get a massage. All these things are beautiful and really positive and healthy. And that's why we really want to align ourselves with healthy nightlife, because think about it. We wake up, we go to the gym, we're yoga in the morning. I'm going to drink my wheatgrass and my coffee. And we go to work and we're look, we're so fit. And then we go to nighttime and we're pounding whatever. And it's come on, let's have some options. So although SDA events right now are 100% sober, I think the true future is seeing more inclusive nightclubs, seeing non-alcoholic beverage menus at every restaurant, at every bar. Yeah. And to have that stigma of, oh, I have to drink to have fun, to be evaporated and be I am fun, so I have fun. Right? It's completely different. And to like really wake up together, because when we wake up, it's not just about alcohol. It's not just about being sober. It's about waking up to your life and your gifts and your potential and reinvesting in yourself. Because every day we have like a certain amount of energy, right? And everything we give that energy to is a gift. And if we're giving our gifts to the right places, they come back to us and we receive that energy. So it's much bigger than just a sober event. Intoxicant free all the way, because it's not just alcohol that we can be addicted to.
Yeah.
It could be our phones. It could be negative thoughts. It could be way too much caffeine for me sometimes. So I want to show up as my best self. And when we show up and we give the gift that is ourselves in such a magical place that is focused on music and dancing and connecting, which are just incredible experiences just by themselves, that is the recipe for like true magic and true healing. So yeah, I'm excited by that for sure. That's why we keep doing it.
Yeah.
What are you seeing is the demand or like the response in the community for these spaces? Like, are we seeing a lot of excitement? Are we seeing maybe some hesitation or not knowing exactly what it is? Does there have to be a lot of storytelling around this to get people to understand exactly what healthy nightlife is? What have been some challenges?
Sobriety is like a massive wave that's actually about to really hit the nation. It's kind of the early stages, I feel like, right now. People are just becoming a lot more health conscious. We can actually thank the pandemic for some of this. There's just a lot of darkness from that time. And people, we believe, and also the data show, I did read the World Health Organization report like for the past few years and always checking out drinking trends. And this was also part of what started secret dance addiction. I read that in 2019. And it was on the decline, actually. I mean, I researched this for a long time and just had it like in the back of our minds as an entertainment company. Then the pandemic hit and everything reversed. Everybody's drinking and drinking and drinking. And so I was like, and we just started SDA. We were like, year one, let's go. Healthy nightlife. We're on the trend. Let's go. Boom, pandy. These people, going for it. And we were like throwing online virtual parties. And the first stream that we did was, we tested the water with virtual streams, actually. The first few streams, just me and Amber, like spinning to an empty room. Zero attendees. And then like the next time was like, oh, yo, someone just popped in. Oh, they're gone, yo. But that was a sick transition. Let's keep going. Yeah. And then it was like 5. And so yeah, we got to like a couple hundred. We got to like 200 all around the world, all partying positive. And the comments and the community around that was just so amazing. It was so potent and so like, what's the word? I mean, it inspired us. It was inspiring. They were like, when are you guys going to do this in person? We're like, as soon as it's legal and cool to do so, all that jazz. But yeah, we took it to in person pretty much as soon as that we could. We had some sponsors, some drink sponsors. Denver's first non-alcoholic bar, Awake, sponsored some parties. And they were so fun, so fun, so connected. So what we learned through all this DJing and all this drinking in the past was that people go to parties, people go to events, not to drink. That's just not why. We go to connect. We go to feel connected and to feel connected to someone or meet someone and feel connected to them. And unfortunately, alcohol and every other substance is a filter to that true self that we are. And it's almost impossible to actually connect with that being if they have one filter, alcohol, and someone else has, weed or whatever it is. Now it's like literally speaking different languages, energetically. And so we thought, okay, let's try and remove these filters and just feel how connected it feels. And, just see what happens to that party. And so, yeah, they were lit. Every party felt really good and lit. And it always has felt that way because we've struck gold. We've found the actual reason why people go to parties. I don't want to take over the conversation, but ironically,
that's literally what you're here. You're here for it. Keep going.
That's true. Fair enough.
It's okay.
Ironically, like the entire, as like DJs, we learned quickly that the entire music industry is built on the model of alcohol. Like it's built on addiction sales. Sadly, like most festivals, it's like the beer sponsor or the, alcohol is what drives that revenue. As offbeat entrepreneurs, we looked at that and we were like, okay, so everyone is zigging. Let's just zag, and just like feel how that feels. And yeah, it's like, it's kind of expensive, like investing in people's health and well-being for sure. But like those people we believe will come back. Those are clients that we're taking care of. We're helping them take care of themselves. And so they come back and oh my gosh, now we've got a community of healthy people.
Yeah.
And then turns out a lot of people in the drink space want to like sponsor and get their drinks in front of those people. So yeah, our revenue model, we had to completely scrap the whole entertainment revenue model. And like this is an Amber specialty.
It's actually very similar to like a regular bar or festival. Everyone used to say, oh, the reason you can't throw an alcohol-free event is there's, no like financial support. But the truth is that when you have a really strong why and connection, the drink sales are still there. We have our own non-alcoholic bar now called Spirit.
Yeah.
And we have our own bar at our events. And the drink sales are there. The sponsors are there. It's just we are beginning to turn the tide of like an addiction pandemic, and doing so, showing people that you can like absolutely party positive and have a lit time, and feel even better leaving than when you arrived versus like maybe the cultural norm, which is not feeling so great when you go home at that. I hope that answers your question.
That was an important distinction. I will say, to magnify that, like afterwards, like Liz and I walked back to the hotel and, we had some good conversation and we got some ice cream on the way back. And then you remember it. Like I can visualize it was just a great time, and I've had so many nights where really and truly so I'm a musician, I'm an artist. And it was very shortly after I entered into recovery where I started hitting the spots again. And it was like, it's always been about, okay, I'm here to work. I'm here to, and then you meet community and you connect, but there's always like, okay, time to go for me. So I rarely ever go out to just go out and just like, I'm just about to go out and just kick it with people. Like there's never been my thing for real. And I think the reason being is because of my previous experience of like, okay, when I went out and just went out to just go out, one, nothing good ever happens the longer I stay there. And two, like I just remember like just feeling so like, dang, like there were so many regrets and remorse after the end of the night. And it was like, I just told you, like I just played back the entire night to you all when you got on this call because all of it was memorable to me, and I took it and I became a better person because of that night. So that's super dope. That's super dope.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love the idea of like taking back the night and taking back even just the word drink. Like, if I were to say like, I want to drink, that immediately is associated with an alcoholic drink. And it's like, dude, I'm just thirsty. Like, give me water. And, and the ability to have that be something that does have some like, air of celebration around it. And to be able to go out at night, like you get sober. And so often the message is like, all right, well, now you can go to coffee shops and also they close at 2 p.m. And, the night is not yours. And anybody, I think, who is feeling like there's not a market for nighttime sober events and like beverages that are not intoxicating, it's like, that's just because you haven't invited the people that would want that yet. We often don't feel safe in the world that is right now available to us. So I think it's just, if you build it, we will come. Like I think this is the field of dreams for this community that often feels like we have to give up so much of what used to be fun, and it's like, oh no, there's a whole world of it out there, and you're building it, and that's awesome.
So I got a question, and bear with me as I kind of flesh it out, because this has been an experience that I've had, and you've used the term sober DJ a couple of times, and for me, like I'm hip hop rooted. I've always written. I've always performed. Got really into like the performing art of it and like connecting with the crowd and the community in sobriety. But I've never considered myself like a sober artist. I present myself obviously because I'm sober, right? And I talk a lot about intention. And then, you know, if someone is curious after the show, maybe they'll inquire, or maybe there'll be conversation that comes up that's like, oh yeah, by the way, you know, but I've never, like, there's never been my hook. And I think, you know, when we're in active, whatever we're in, like, we can see ourselves as a way. And then when we come in recovery, we learn how to show up with new identity. And I know my art has always been a part of my identity. And so, like, figuring out, like, who is this new person? How do I express who it is that I'm becoming through my art now? Like, what does that look like for me? What has been that process for you all? Like, I guess to simplify the question, do you lead with being a DJ, or do you lead with the sober? Is it sober DJ, or is it DJ and I'm sober?
I'll take this one. I'm really glad that you asked about that, because I actually don't identify as sober at all. I know Mike explained that. We're like, hey, we don't drink, but like, I never lead with that, because I don't give my power to that at all. I give my power to my heart and who I am. So if I was going to describe myself, you know, for somebody, sober might be an important description because that is their strength, that is their power. But for me personally, I identify with, I'm just myself. You know, I'm me. I'm free. That's what I identify with. I'm free to choose. And when we're free to choose, we can say, hey, I'm totally addicted to coffee. And I admit that because I'm free to choose. And I think it's like important to say, like, I'm free to choose who I want to be. And if I'm not that person right now, almost faking it till you make it. And like, because when you embody what you really truly are and what you truly wish to be, no word could ever label you anything, right? Because you're totally free. So maybe that was like a granola response, but that's how I identify with it. And I think, Bryce, what you said, it was so beautiful. Like, hey, I don't identify with that, but like, that's important to me. It's a value, right? To be sober for me, to be healthy is my value. To invest in myself, my value. To empower others is my value. And if that means I'm sober, then that's great. But I'm really glad you asked about that, because I think it's very important to speak up and be like, what does that actually mean to me? Does that resonate with me? Is that who I want to be? Is that who I wish to connect with others about? Because, you know, I think it's really important to be free to choose like who you want to be and who you are.
I'm glad that Amber said this. I'm glad you asked too, because I do identify more as a sober DJ than Amber does, for sure. We kind of have our own, this is kind of a little bit where we differ mentally on it, but we are both free. Like and this is what we're going for with SDA. We don't want people to feel like they're in a box. Like, addiction is 100% a box, right? You feel trapped. You're scared to go out. It's no fun. Like, we have all been there, right? It's a cage, dude, right? And so, like, the thing that what we're really going for with SDA, and which is really tricky and took years and years of time to us kind of get our heads around, is this kind of like Eastern approach of like freeing yourself so far from something, like removing it so much that like you don't make it its own box. You don't put yourself in another box, which is recovery box. Recovery box, way better than addiction box. We all know that, but it can be a box. And this is where you want to get into that like meditation and being like, yo, myself is not even connected to sobriety. Like, I am a being. Back to what are hands? You know, I'm gesturing.
What are hands?
What are they? like, what is recovery, and what is fear, and what is addiction? And like, we are so much more than that. You know, like, we are way more than our bodies. And kind of like, yeah, it's like a step. It's like a process to be in the recovery phase. I still say that we're all in recovery.
Yes.
I mean, every day we're bombarded with toxins and just so much just stuff. I don't want to say the S word, it's just coming into us, through our eyes, our nose, our mouth, everything, ears too.
And I think
so detoxing, just like letting it be part of us, and then like also reminding myself too, though, that I'm an infinite being, of like light and energy, and none of that shit can stick to me. Right. And so same with you guys. Right. And so in that, Amber and I both feel free from alcohol addiction and from recovery. We're just like vibing now. Like I could go out and drink. I won't because it sucks, but like I don't feel like scared going out to bars and clubs. Also, probably because we've gone out and DJ'd so many of these places sober that it's just like whatever at this point, But like, yeah.
I think where you were going, I just wanted to make sure that we tied onto this is life lesson. Focus on what we do want.
Yeah.
Versus what we don't want.
True that.
Because what we resist persists. And if I'm constantly talking about how much I don't like, I don't know, carpet or alcohol or anything or other people, maybe it's traits in other people, I'm always talking about what I don't want. Our energy is our vibration. So I could focus on what I do want, which is healthy nightlife and people that have a great frequency or maybe want a great frequency and are looking for that. And I think that comes down to like looking for what we do want and looking for that light, like in ourselves and in others. Yeah. And always like looking for the good in the world. Because if it's time to speak up or if it's time to say, hey, that's not right, it gives it more power because we're not giving away our power all the time to what we don't want. And when it is time to speak up and say, actually, I don't want that, it has so much more power because we're able to really focus on what we do want. So that's why we, like I said, party positive, because I think enough has been said about what we don't want.
Yeah.
And now it's time to create a new dream where we go out and we get lit and we drink and we party and get all types of crazy.
Yeah, you can get crazy drinking water. I mean,
yeah,
I can totally hijack this because I
so
like
many quotes in today's episode.
I know, my God.
What are hands? You can totally get lit off of like just breathing. I mean, there are so many different ways to feel those things that we're like simulating with alcohol and drugs. I mean, I study Sadhguru. He's a guru from India.
Oh my gosh, Bryce is gonna hop on a plane and go live with you too, just so you know.
I've just been containing myself. I'm just soaking it in.
He has all these videos though. He was on like Joe Rogan podcast talking about weed, and he's like, "Why do you look like you're high all the time?" And he's like, "I am, but I'm sober." He like doesn't do anything. He just like is that way because our brain is the drug. Our brain releases the drugs from music. This is how we can say in SDA that music is the drug. Well, the actual truth is that the neuroscience is the drug. It's what we're doing right now. We're releasing dopamine and having a good time. So we're trying to redefine what get lit means. Like getting lit shouldn't mean like passing out in the front yard because of alcohol. Getting lit is like sharing the spark of consciousness with each other, watching that grow and then seeing that spread. That is way more lit than the former. So that's like kind of, yeah.
Totally agree.
I just want to like segue real quick before we do another question. Sometimes these like really bright, beautiful, grandiose concepts can feel so far away from someone who's suffering, or maybe it's day one for them in recovery. And they're like, these people are crazy. Like, what are they even talking about? But we all know it's one day at a time, right? It's one day at a time and it's one breath at a time. Be like, I can't meditate. Well, what if you just took one breath where you just felt every breath as you breathe in and breathe out? Maybe we just do it together.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone exhale. And as you breathe in, feel your stomach expanding and your heart expanding in the air. And then as you exhale, just feel your shoulders drop and feel your body. It's one day, one breath at a time, because what you focus on expands. And if you are focusing on presence in your body, that is the key to a lot of power and a lot of magic. And that's what we do at our parties.
Yeah, that's a really good segue, Andy. We didn't
now
quite
I'm on
do
a
this.
plane on my way to come see you. We're both going to be there.
As you can see, we have a mattress that you can stay on.
The long story.
Perfect.
Yeah, we focus on dynamics too. I love that you mentioned this. Yeah, we really go pretty deep on this stuff. I know we just seem like a bunch of homies that are DJs too, but like there's science behind it and the method. So we always want to make sure that our audience feels dynamics when we're doing our sets, right? This is another reason that we started SDA. When we would arrive to the club might feel like a synthetic 8, because everyone's all drunk and they're all like party, party, party. When we get there and we're like a pretty cool 5. And like, I'm just speaking like 5 out of 10, like DJ energy levels. You feel me?
Yeah.
And so like when people go to drink, they're like, oh, we got a pregame, right? The pregame thing. Or got to drink before we get there. That way we're like kind of around the same time. Yeah, that doesn't work, right? It doesn't actually work. You're not anywhere around the actual same energy level of those people. And it's all synthetic. So the real way to experience what we're going for is the real way to feel connected is to all arrive on our own steam, which we like to say is sober, right? We arrive and then we turn down to 0 because we normally arrive at like a 5, somewhere in the middle. So like arriving into a new space is like you check in with that space. You like breathe the air, just hang out and breathe. You just wait, you feel the space for a little bit, couple minutes, and then you take it up. And that's what we do as DJs. That's the turn up part. We love doing this with our audience. We all turn down to 0 before we start. So it's kind of like everybody's in. Let's like feel ourselves. Let's feel around each other. All these beings together in this space. Okay, let's go. And now suddenly when you really hit 0 and then you turn up to 10, that dynamic of that energy shift actually feels like the 10 that we're looking for at the clubs. It's the actual connection going up together that feels like, oh my God, that was so lit. Why? How was that? What? Like, what did I just experience? It's because of that. That's why that happens. And we only learned this from being sober DJs. We only learned about this because of doing SCA. And it's like, whoa, why is that more lit than clubs and stuff? Yeah.
That's dope that you use the craft. Like using the craft, and there's certain feedback that you can't get until like you're out in the field, like until you're out there and you connect with people and you see what it is that people are receptive to, and no, that's
community
that's
around
really dope. Yeah.
We DJ'd so many parties, like hundreds of parties and weddings and events, and like the norm, the cultural norm is that the more alcohol, drugs, whatever we pour on a party, the more lit it gets. That's like what they want you to think. But we all know that perceived litness has like a cliff. And it's like, oh, that's too much. That's bad, not fun. It's fake.
Now
right?
everybody fighting, people going crazy.
Like, the pictures. That's why the photographers leave at the beginning of the dance party at weddings and private events, is because after that, we don't want to see like
right.
Like, let's be real. Like,
so we were like, how do we turn the litness up without that? And turns out you turn up the connection. Turn up the connection.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a secret dance addiction. Just you all in general, the energy that you contribute is a beautiful thing. And for those of you not watching the YouTube video, which please pop over to the YouTube video and see Michael and Ambie really and see their energy. Because some you said earlier, Michael, was that you challenge each other in a healthy way.
Yeah, and
that is the seed to healthy interpersonal relationship, like growth, development, evolution. And it's fucking visual just looking at you all, the way that you look at each other before you tell the story, or you kind of like are looking for cues from each other and you feed off of each other. And like it's in spaces like that the best things are bred and born that can impact the world. And I'm just super excited to see what Secret Dance Addiction continues to do. And, you said your bed is open, so I might be checking my calendar to see when I have a free space to come out there and kick it with you all. We can talk all this spiritual stuff forever.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
dude,
I wish we
totally
had
down.
forever.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I
It's
want to
our
hear your
studio.
music.
It's the same room as our studio, so it's a good room to stay in.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
So usually what we do is we ask a question, but I think like I want to do something different today, Liz.
Ooh, what
this
could
is
it
gonna
be?
beat me up.
I will not. No, I'm excited.
Keeping them on their toes. All right. So today, I just want you both to leave our listeners with some good energy. Like, what would you tell somebody who just turned on this podcast and it's like, look, I just need my daily dose of positive, intentional energy. I need my dose of people who are living in their purpose, people who are setting out to change the world and impact the world, or people who are just showing up and able to show up for life on life's terms. What would you give that person listening right now?
All right, this is a card I keep on my desk. I got it at a really fun party. And it says, I trust. Oh, can you see it?
I have longer arms.
Okay. I trust.
Is it backwards?
It might be backwards. I'll read it to you.
Perfect.
I trust the guidance of the universe.
Yeah.
And it says, trust that everything you need to know is being revealed to you in the perfect space-time sequence. So we don't need to worry about the future. We don't need to worry about the past. Everything we need to know is right here, right now, in your heart, in your wisdom, in the world around you. So I trust the guidance of the universe.
It's perfect. It's what I was going to say too. Just be present. You know, it's a practice. You know, it's hard, but just breathe. Breathing just puts us right in the present moment. That's all you really need is air. You know, let's go.
Yeah.
Breathe it in.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I know. I'm just thinking like title. This is going to be.
That's all you really need is air.
All you really need is
really
air.
Get lit off of water.
Dun, 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 dun,
Water
dun.
hands.
All you need is air. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you both. I know that you got to jump to your next thing. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to connect offline and get all the links, everything that people can go to find you. If you want to share them now, you're welcome to. If you have any places folks can go to find more about you.
Yeah. Instagram and our website are Secret Dance Addiction.
Normalizing healthy nightlife.
Easy peasy. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Definitely check out Secret Dance Addiction if you have the opportunity to attend something that they're doing. Please do. The Phoenix is doing a lot more with music out in the world. So just in general, there are all the worlds that I think so many of us feel like the doors start closing when we, like enter into this realm of recovery. Like, man, they are just being kicked open. So like, just look for it. It's out there, and also be the change that you want to see in the world. Like these two they're like, this is missing, and we're going to create it, and that's badass. So we're so grateful, and so grateful to all of you who are listening and keep showing up every week. We couldn't and wouldn't want to do this without you. Please subscribe. Please rate and review. And then connect with us. And Bryce will tell you how you can connect with us.
Well, how you can connect with us is you take Liz's address, which is, and then you write her a letter, and then you send that, and then she'll get, what you do is you download the Phoenix app. On the Phoenix app, we have podcasts, or we have groups in the Phoenix app. So there's different groups for different interests. Some of the best groups are Detroit music, and the Rise, Recover, Live podcast group. Hop in a podcast group and come and holler at me and Liz. It's a thriving community in there. Come talk to us about what you enjoyed about this episode. Send notes of appreciation for Mike and Ambie, what you hope to see more of, and we'll be in there talking back to you. So download the Phoenix app if you haven't already, and hop in that podcast group and come talk to us.
Please do.
Thank you, listeners. Thank you guys for hosting. I just want to say that everybody out there listening, we are stronger and more connected than you know. And I hope to see you at a Phoenix event or an SD event sometime. And let's get lit.
Let's get lit. Amazing. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, we'll see you next time.
So now you're excited. Bryce, Liz, how do I get involved with the Phoenix? Well, my friend, it is super simple. We actually have an app. Head over to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, or look in the show notes of this podcast, wherever you're listening to or watching this podcast, and go download the Phoenix app.
The Phoenix app makes it so easy to find classes that are near you or to access our virtual class schedule where you can hop on from the comfort of your home. You can also join our groups and have a conversation with someone from the Phoenix community from anywhere in the world. Please make sure that you join the podcast group where you can connect with Bryce and I and other listeners. Everything that you need is in the show notes. You can also head to our website at www.thephoenix.org. And maybe while you're there, you click the volunteer tab and get even more involved.